Hello everyone and welcome to the new Slick Rides Garage. Well, hello and welcome to the new Slick Rides Garage. I'm Steve and we're coming to you from Linden Township, Missouri, the site of the new Slick Rides Garage. Well, as a lot of you know, it's been a while since I made a video here, and you can see the reason why. I've been in the process of getting the new shop built. Okay, so the bumper covers for a 2004 Nissan Titan. I took it out of the packaging, and one of the first things I noticed is this piece of masking here. Now you might think, hey, that's great, that's just less masking I gotta do. Well, that might be the case if you want to get all of that in your paint job. No way. So let's get this thing out of here. You know, you look in the bag when you get one of these and you're like, okay, well, where are the directions on how to paint it? That's a good question. And the answer is, it's right back here on this label. I'm going to scuff the surface to give the paint something to stick to. We can apply the paint directly to the bumper cover. They come pre-primed with a solvent primer. That means you can throw any kind of paint at them that you like. Okay, so here's the scuff pad I'm going to be using right here. It's just a Scotch-Brite pad. I like to combine steps when I do stuff like this, and we have to scuff it and we have to wash it, so why not just combine the two? Let me show you how it works. I'm just going to be using regular dishwashing soap. Don't use a lot of it, just use a little bit. Take my gray scuff pad, toss it on in there. We want to remove any sort of shipping material here. These are just corner protectors. Now, I'm going to break this bumper cover down in 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. You just have a body line. That's where I'm going to stop for the first one. When we're prepping this out, we don't want to use pressure. This arrangement right here can cause grooves in your primer, you know, because you have your fingers in contact with. That's why I say use no pressure. Basically, we're just trying to guide it over the surface. We want to prep this out to the point where when I rinse it, we can see that there's no more shine on it. We want to make sure we do that fully and completely, because unprepped areas, the paint could lift and just peel right off the cover. Plastic is inherently difficult to get paint to stick to anyways. Just go light with it, go good and easy, let the scuff pad do its job. I didn't even get to this front part yet here and it's already starting to dry on me. Now another thing, you'll actually get a primer roll going on right there. So I'm going to pay a little bit more attention to that spot. Defects in primer, especially with this job right here, because this bumper cover is going to be painted silver. The metallic will actually lay down inside all of those little defects, and it can cause a line or a halo. I want to make sure that this area and this area especially are prepped out really well. If we don't get a good tooth on this and we have a rock hit it or something like that, it can actually just blow the paint right off. When we get to areas like these crowns, the tendency is for those to be worked down quicker than the surrounding areas. If you get too aggressive with it, you could blow that primer off of there. Now you notice how I'm avoiding this edge right here. I'm trying to keep the scuff pad parallel to this surface and not doing this. You run a risk of burning that primer off that edge right there. Okay, so I'm finished up here, and let me go ahead and rinse this out. Looking really nice. But when we get up here, that primer is actually still just a little bit rough. All right, so the main reason I wanted to point that out is because when we have roughness on a surface and we're using a high metallic color, that can cause the metallic to settle into these rough spots, and that will change the appearance of the flip-flop in the metallic. So what will happen is you'll have metallic that appears a certain way here, and then when it gets over here to this rough area, it's kind of all stacked funny. And so the flip-flop in the metallic will change at a different rate. To solve that problem, I'm going to prep this out a little more right here, and I'm going to continue on this way. Now you notice how I wet down the entire bumper cover again. We never want any sort of soaps or anything like that to get onto a dry surface like this. That soap can actually burn in and contaminate the surface. we have this recessed body line. It's hard to get to. I'll just keep it folded over like that, and then I'll just use this edge. Go real easy, because this is a place where you could cut through the primer. On the other hand, if you don't get it in there enough, there's going to be areas in there that could remain unprepped, and the paint could actually lift off. Make sure that your scuff pad or whatever you're using to prep, make sure that that doesn't come in contact with surfaces like this. As if there's contaminants, it's going to get transferred to the scuff pad, and then it's going to get transferred to the bumper cover. Also, don't forget to prep out areas like these recesses for your tow hook covers. If you've not done a lot of prep work, it'd probably be a better idea to dry the surface off before you do your inspection. I like to inspect as I go and then do a full final inspection. Once you get it to smooth, you want to stop your prep. Get it smooth and stop. Don't go too far, because primer thicknesses can vary a little bit, and we want to be careful not to burn through any of it. You probably notice that I change the directions I'm using when I'm prepping this out. Sometimes I go with linear strokes, and sometimes I go with circular strokes, so we don't get repeating prep patterns across the surface. Here we go again with the multiple prep angles. I don't know if you notice how I flipped the scuff pad around. I had it like this. I flipped it around like this. We want to try to avoid having that hang over the edges, because that's just a good way to burn an edge. Okay, so I've got you up close for the prep of this area. Part of the reason why I'm doing this, I wanted you all to check out how I prep this line here. See where my pinky finger is? And notice, I am riding that pinky finger right along that ridge. I'm using it as a barrier to keep from coming over the top of that edge and burning the primer off of it. All right, so now we'll change directions. I'm still going to use my pinky finger as a blocker. All right, so now let's take care of this right here. And all I'm going to do is just ever so lightly, just come in here, ever so lightly, and just do this. Sweet. When you get to the point where you notice that your scuff pad doesn't seem like it's really cutting it anymore, then just simply fold it over to the other side. You got a new surface. If you ever get confused about where your prep work ended, after you spray it off, you see how we've got this area here that there's no beading going on with the water? We go right over here and there's a whole bunch. Wherever the water beading is the unprepped area. Okay, here we are again, and there's just a little bit of a primer roll. See if I can't knock that down just a little bit. There's one step I see that people sometimes miss, and that is to rinse off the inside of the bumper cover. If any of this primer winds up making it anywhere onto the backside, it can dry, and then when you go to blow your top coats on it, can actually blow that loose and contaminate your paint job. So as I'm doing my inspections, I really like to take time and look at things closely. Here's that area that I need to prep a little more, but the rest of this here is all looking really nice. Those rough spots that were over here, they seem like for the most part they're gone. I'm gonna go ahead and do this one dry. Now do you notice how that shine knocked down just pretty much immediately? Should have turned that scuff pad over just a little bit sooner. Go ahead and back prep into this area too, just sort of guiding it over the surface. When it comes to masking, there really isn't a lot to do. This inset grill area right here, that's all black. I like to go around first with just some 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch wide masking tape and fine line tape all of that off first. And then I'll come back over it with some masking paper and I'll cover the inset. Now when I go around a corner, I'll just take the tape, kind of watch my right hand over here. And I'm kind of going to give it a little tug and set it into place without getting a big kink in it for paint material to sit in. You know, you spray your paint on, it gets caught up in those grooves. Then you go to apply the clear on top of that, and it can actually blow that loose and contaminate your clear coat. Well, I found my masking paper. Unfortunately, I can't find my tape machine, so size the paper. I like to go over just a little bit. Yep, that'll work. For this first run, I'm going to put a piece of tape along this edge. If you don't have a tape machine, I'm going to show you a pretty slick way to do that. Let's check it out. I've spent some time cleaning up the shop, so all of these surfaces here are pretty clean. Just kind of hold your paper up like that. Grab your masking tape, put it about halfway into the, bring it straight down, and then just go on this one edge right here. Just stay off that second edge. Push it down onto the paper. Now you got a nice straight edge there. And we'll just apply it to the other piece of tape. I'm just going to look at where this edge is right in here, and I'm just going to take my knife and just follow it on around. And I'll just continue the same thing on down here. I cut this a little short of that tape. Didn't mean to do that, but what are you going to do? Okay, well, there it is. So here's the painting setup that I am going to use this time. What I did is I just took a couple of tie-down straps and basically just put those on the trusses there. And on each one of these, and just screw that down very loosely, and that's mainly just to keep the cover from flopping all over the place. Pretty happy with how this thing's turning out so far. First thing tomorrow, we're going to break out the paint gun, give it a good cleaning, and we'll see you then.